welcome again to Gene Ho, and he looks fed and watered. I've talked him out of coming on with the pizza again today, so I hope you're going to perform well, Gene.
Yes, I'm fully capable on a Monday to get going here, even without my breakfast. That's good.
Listen, editor-in-chief carries with it a good deal of power these days, and you can give anything the kiss of death or promote something or somebody. But what is your choice on that? I mean, you get stories day and night, literally, and you've got to choose which one to go for. So, what I'm really asking you, what is the mission of George?
Well, the most important thing, Rodney, of what we're doing is we are all about truth. So at the end of the day, no matter what it is, we want to tell the truth. And we feel that's what's missing. For this movement, originally, a lot of the backlash with some of MAGA was with fake news. And we've said it before, it's not just the actual news article or the news presentation. We've mentioned it before, it's how the headlines skew a person to think whatever. But the thing is, when MAGA gave an alternative to it, and now we call them the black pill ex-MAGA, as Trump said, the ex-MAGA people there, they really have taken it to another level where they have inserted their own, how can I say this, their own disinformation into this. So we're trying to put it back where it is. When we have news articles, we make sure that we source them. We tell you where we got the information from or who we talked to. And that is really what's missing from today's media, is to actually have the truth. Where did you get this information? Did we just make it up? No, we source it. And that's the difference.
What do you call these people? Super right or super left?
No, the going phrase is the woke right, not like almost like a Nazi, the woke right. And what it ends up being is people who have tried to hijack Donald Trump's MAGA movement. So Donald Trump did an amazing thing. It's almost very populist, very similar to what Nigel did, where they're just taking people that really kind of lean conservative, but taking it also from the working class, the parts of the working class there. And Donald Trump transformed that into a very populist movement. But what ended up happening is there's some on that side that try to hijack it. And that's the other thing going on. And quite frankly, it's failing at this point.
Now, George conveys strong name, strong male character. I mean, are you after the men in this, or you don't mind who reads the mag, obviously, but do the ladies read the mag?
Oh, we've done research before, and actually most of our readership is female. But the most important thing is we're not targeting one side or the other. We hope that the people that come to us will be drawn to us because of the truth. And like I said, there's been a lot of damage done by these, what we call the black pill nihilistic podcasters, who really have infiltrated the movement. And these were the ones trying to control the narrative of it. But what ended up happening is Donald Trump actually spoke against many of these leaders, calling them fake MAGA. In other words, they're not really true to the original mission. And it's been wonderful since he's done that, because people say, okay, what is George Magazine doing? We're not doing propaganda. We are showing you what's going on and actually sourcing it, which is a big difference, because there's a lot of misinformation on the far right, what we call the woke right.
What's the most popular part of the magazine?
Oddly enough, it is our Bible articles. When JFK Jr. started this, and he said that the hardest magazine to succeed in is one that has religion and politics. And so he basically said, well, that's the main thing then. Because with politics, it's already very difficult as it is. But we found that our most popular articles are our Bible devotionals. And when I say this, I'm talking not about spirituality, I'm talking about Christianity, specifically Christianity. And we do it as we are a secular magazine. We're not a so-called Christian magazine, but we're a secular magazine that's just not ashamed of talking about Jesus. And it has been our number one most read articles. It is exactly that, our Bible-based Christian articles.
Well, there are millions of Brits now saying, how do they do it? Because that would go down like a lead balloon. Anywhere in Europe, you'd have very few readers.
You know what? Here's the thing. I understand. I understand how you might think that, and many thought of it the same way. When we first came out, people like, "How are you going to survive in this?" And it wasn't a matter of survival. It was a matter of just we felt, number one, doing what was right, and number two, doing what was the original intention of George Magazine, which is not just politics as usual. But once we did that, the people, we are being supported by people who believe in this message. So you might think, because it might be like, oh, that will never work in the UK or in the European Union or wherever. You might think that, but actually you would be surprised, because now we have seen many of the woke right, for whatever reason, say, oh, maybe that's what people want. And they've been changing their messaging based upon that, which, like we said, may or may not be good, because many of them may not be doing it for the right reason, where we felt like this was our duty to do that, at least put it in there.
Right, we're going to concentrate for a little while on gerrymandering. We're used to that in the United Kingdom. Keir Starmer, before this last debacle, we call it now our midterms. It used to be called the local elections. And it's never produced anything like this. But people hate, and I've used the right word then, Starmer and his crew, that they have gone completely overboard and put him in his place. He knew that would happen, and he's been doing the gerrymandering, or trying to. He's failed in a number of areas. In other words, gerrymandering, moving the borders. Now, you've been specialist in the States for this for years, haven't you?
Yeah, yes. George Magazine wrote about this 2 years ago in a major article that we had. And at the time, of course, this gerrymandering's been going on for a long time. But when we wrote that, it was not anywhere in the picture. This is the big story, because the Supreme Court of the United States has made gerrymandering illegal when it comes to race. And so because of that, already, if things go as planned, the now illegal gerrymandering in some states are going to be recalled, and it will probably end up giving, this is just a sampling, maybe about 12 seats back to the Republicans that were gerrymandered away or for whatever reason. And the other big story, Rodney, is the Virginia Supreme Court has made the Virginia state gerrymandering illegal. And that was a net, at least one, maybe two seats that were going to go to the Democrats. So this is something that is not being talked about very much in mainstream, but this is game changing coming into the midterms, because it gives the Republicans and Donald Trump a tremendous lead, so to speak, going into the midterms.
Midterm election wouldn't mean a lot this side of the pond. We don't have it like you do. But basically, Trump risks losing the Senate, doesn't he?
It's not the Senate, it's the House. Of course, you know, here we have the House and the Senate. The Senate always seemed pretty safe, but the House was the one that was very much in danger. And as you know, usually in the midterms, the party that has the presidency usually loses bad. It happened both to Obama, and then Trump, I believe, lost the House, I believe. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but lost one of those. Now, the way it works here compared to, let's say, the UK with the MPs, Once they lose that, all these committees go to the chairmanships go to the other party. So you have all these committees right now that are being run by Republicans. If that would change over, it would tremendously slow up any agenda that Trump would have to do. Not to mention, because they're chairmen, they would be calling in people for testimony. They would be maybe even investigations. There would be so many things that could possibly happen if the Democrats would win back the House or the Senate. And the House was more likely. The Senate seems pretty in control at this point. I don't want to overstep, but it was a House that was really in danger.
Can you compare that with the House of Commons and the House of Lords in Britain?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's like this. I mean, you have with Starmer here, and you have, I believe it's a Reform Party that's going there. These are a lot of people in MAGA, and just to clarify to those who might not understand as much, MAGA is not its own party. Donald Trump made the decision not to make MAGA its own party. For example, like the Reform, where it's its own party. It's more of like a wing of the Republican Party, except for the MAGA wing completely took it over. The first part of Trump's first presidency, there was the Republicans, but they were not all for Trump. Now this wing, so to speak, MAGA, it's within the Republican Party and is taken over so that the Republicans basically vote the way the president wants. And that's why it's so necessary for Trump to win the midterms, or his party, which is the Republican Party. But it is now being dominated by so-called MAGA Republicans, whereas I believe the Reform is its own entity, so to speak, within there.
It is,
I believe.
and you've got that right, really, in the States, because our two-party system has disappeared overnight. Used to be Labour, Conservative, and that equates roughly with your Republican, Democrat.
Right.
Now we've got six parties. And boy, all you're going to finish up is with an unhealthy coalition. Nothing will get done.
Well, you know, the important thing to remember is that what Donald Trump has did, and I remember this because in 2020, everyone, or I want to say everyone, a lot of people were saying, Trump, we were tired of these rhinos, so form your own party. You could call it the MAGA Party, the Patriot Party, whatever. Donald Trump specifically said no. And what he did was he endorsed members of the Republican Party, and he was so popular that they won. And then all the other Republicans, maybe they were establishment in their own ways, fell in line. They said, wow, this president is so powerful that whatever he says, he can vote us out of office. And so that's what you have happen in a state we have called Indiana, where Trump, quote unquote, meddled into the state Senate election and convinced the people there to kick out the people that were disloyal to Trump. So it reminds everyone in the Republican, once again, that this Republican Party, that this is Donald Trump's party. And that's what's going on. And so you have this wing, so to speak, of the MAGA populace, which Donald Trump has already deemed fake MAGA, and they're trying to pull away from that. But they are, at this point, we can see that they're losing their influence. And so politically wise, Donald Trump is doing very well in the United States right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the dreaded word influence or influencer. We're getting a bit fed up with influencers in Europe because you press the button and they just go and they never stop. They never draw breath. But they're sort of captivating an audience, and a strange audience quite often. And is there any control over this at all in America?
You know, what has happened right now is people had to, number one, see what was going on, but we do have a political leader here for this crowd, and it's Donald Trump. And up to this point, Donald Trump did not vocalize or pick a side when it comes to that. And so he did. He basically chose sides. One of the persons that he chose sides with is Erica Kirk of Turning Point USA. And Turning Point USA is very powerful. They are the ones that go into the liberal, so-called liberal campuses, and if I could say, convert people to become conservatives and register them to vote. They are extremely powerful and is closely aligned with Donald Trump. And so you have that wing of the MAGA, the far right, trying to attack that situation because they know how powerful Turning Point USA is. And so we're seeing it played out in real time, but Donald Trump is getting stronger and people are starting to notice who to listen to and who not to listen to.
Yeah, let's go abroad and talk about powerful people. There's got to be an end to this Iran war. And I reckon that Donald Trump is getting really fed up. They just kick the ball into the long grass, Iran. They're past masters. They've done it for 70 years. Now, what's the way around this? Because, of course, last week we heard 2 tankers were shelled by American boats, stopped them going through illegally, stopped them going through the Straits of Hormuz. But it's like the dragon's head keeps coming back. It doesn't lie down. Is there any foreseeable end to this?
Well, Ronnie, when I was Donald Trump's photographer, I saw this in real time when Donald Trump just had enough. I'll tell you the situation. I was with the campaign now, just guesstimating, maybe 8 months already, and everything was going well. All the rallies were being packed out, and then the first election, it's hard to explain how they do it in Iowa, but the first Iowa caucus, basically the first election, Donald Trump lost. He lost to Ted Cruz. And we, as part of the campaign, were expected to win. And I saw Donald Trump when he has enough. And when he does have enough, he makes it very clear. Now, we don't know what he spoke to his people behind the scenes, but I could tell you that there comes a point with Donald Trump when he has enough, he has enough. And he has given every out, every political out, every face-saving out for the Iranians. Part of the problem is I think that they can't find who their leader is. I think that's one of the problems. But one way or the other, Donald Trump is going to take care of it. And when he has enough, I could tell you he has enough because I've seen it and it's not pretty. But then he changed it because right after that Iowa loss, Donald Trump went into a big run into Super Tuesday. And I think it was almost undefeated going into Super Tuesday. So when Donald Trump has enough, believe me, I've seen it. He will straighten things out very fast.
And we're approaching that point, are we?
I believe so, yeah, Rodney.
Okay, we'll wait and see. The other thing that's been happening, of course, is our president, our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, I repeat, has been about the most unpopular Prime Minister ever. He's got so many things wrong, both at home and abroad. And the other dirty word at the moment in the United Kingdom is populist. Now, I don't know. I just don't understand what's wrong with that. If you're popular, you're going to get the vote, and that's a good thing. And that is in America as well. There's no dirty word called popularist, is there?
No, you know what? Not that I fully understand everything, but from what I understand, while there's no MPs that, or at least that I know of, no MPs that are part of the reform, but a lot of we would call them city council seats. They're basically in the communities.
Yeah,
they are that espouse
right.
what the the Reform Party does. This is the same way in the United States. Yes, in the United States, Republicans control the House and Senate. We have the presidency. But I'm telling you, boots on the ground where I live, there are people that believe in Donald Trump. And I believe that's what we're going to see over there in the UK, because if there's a groundwork there where, like I said, I don't know what you call the local type governments, but we call them city councils.
Yeah, it's a good
And
analogy. Yeah.
yeah, it's I believe it's starting to get overrun by these people who believe that. So I think it's just a matter of once whether you're I think it's a Tory or Labor. I think once they see, hey, these are the people here, they're gonna they have to they have to understand that their voice needs to be heard. And I see that here in the United States, these local city councils, other than some major cities, they're all conservative and they're all MAGA. It's amazing to see, but this is where we are now. It took Rodney now 8 years before the Republican Party has been transformed into MAGA. And so who knows how it's going to work out in the UK, but I already see it happening because it's already with the underlying, uh,
Yeah.
underlying
Yeah.
politicians.
Well, you're talking about city councils now, they're responsible for that particular city, etc. There's been lots of talk over many years in the UK that politics should have no banner with these people. They should be saying, well, I want to do this at local level. It's nothing to do with politics. I just want to run the city good and make the people happy. Why should politics get in the way? Is there no movement there about that?
I tell you what, it's when I'll give you an example of Arkansas. For many years, the Arkansas was run by, if I could use the phrase, the Clinton network. Arkansas was the home of Bill Clinton. And what ended up happening is a group of people, just plain people that were conservative, said, we're going to get involved in politics. Until the point now, we have the second Huckabee as our governor. We have Sarah Huckabee, and we have a legislature in Arkansas state politics that are firmly conservative, firmly listening to the voice of the people. And sometimes these things just take time. So I think ultimately we're just seeing this in real time with what Donald Trump did to the Republican Party. And then I would love to see something like that happen in UK, where people sooner or later says, this is how the people view. And I understand it too, because of with Brexit and all the migrants and stuff like that. And people after a while, they get sick of it. I would imagine that's what's happening there.
It's horrendous. And Nigel Farage for Reform has really captured the hearts and minds because he's prepared to do something about it. Now, immigration has been controlled brilliantly in the US, but you've not got the European influence through many, many laws that we, even though we're not in Europe, still obey. It's a crazy situation. Now,
Oh,
that must have got so many votes when Trump came in. Right, the border is now closed to Mexico.
right. I mean, Trump did this early in his presidency, but it had a lot of pushback because many in the left started talking about ICE, which was a tool that they used. But now that it happened, we United States needs immigrants. We need the workforce. We need good people to come into our country. What Donald Trump just did is just tap the brakes to say, okay, let's just see where we're at here. And so I could see that as the populist movement you have. I believe that was the impetus for that. And people, like you said here there in the UK, after a while they say enough is enough. And I think that's what the UK is just now starting to see with all the pressure with Starmer. And I think it's going to filter down, and the MPs are going to say, okay, we need a change here. I believe this is going to happen this way.
Well, 50 in the last MPs in the last 3 days have said they want to get rid of Starmer. They see what a liability he is. There is going to be change in the UK. We've got a lot to be thankful for the Americans for because they've led the way in this. But a
Oh,
final
I do believe that. I really do. I do believe that the it was a great model, so to speak, because it's really in many ways similar to that with the populist movement of MAGA.
last question, Gene. Why is it the left that want to get everybody in the country, no borders? What is in it for them? What they're doing it for?
I I truly believe it ultimately is about power because there is a very simple formula here. The Democrats want to make it easier for people to vote, and then when you have people that are coming in with that into the country and it's undocumented in some way, the the Republican or MAGA version of that is let's make sure that the people that do vote are in this country, and that is the bottom line with that. With the Democrats, I do believe that the at the end of the day is that it's easier for them to be elected to office and stay in power. I think that is really what the end all of it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's 9:30 in Arkansas and early morning. We've disturbed your breakfast, your pizza. Again, we do apologize. We'll see
No,
you.
I enjoy the talk, and we have seen some of your fan base come over to us as well, and we hope that our people that follow us will follow you as well. But I will say it's fascinating to talk politics on both sides of the pond because the more our people are educated about what's going on your end, and your people that they are not motivated by what they just see in mainstream media. This is boots on the ground to understand what's going on in America.
Yep, here to that. Thank you so much, Gene.
All right. Thank you.